Hi, this is Craig and welcome back to Cruising Off Duty. If you've been watching the channel, you know I took an Xquisite X5, a 50-foot catamaran, and sailed it from Cape Town, South Africa, across the equator, all the way to the Caribbean. It was an amazing adventure, and you're not going to want to miss this episode because I think this is one of the visually stunning highlights of the entire voyage. It's where we went to Namibia and went out in a Land Rover into the dunes. It was very cool. It's something I will never forget, and it's also something I know that 99.9% of my viewers will probably never end up in Walvis Bay, Namibia, so this was worth an episode all on its own, just so you feel like you've been there as well. Before we get into this episode, I just want to thank my patrons, some of which have been around since the beginning of the channel, long since before I was doing any of these transatlantic voyages, and in this particular voyage, a bunch of sponsors that jumped on board to help defer the costs of me flying halfway around the world and spending 8 weeks away from my regular job. Thanks so much. I couldn't have done it without you guys. And without any further ado, let's get on to this episode.
We anchor and hoist the sail.
As you know, if you've been watching the episodes, we've been dealing with fog pretty much nonstop as we've been going north along this Antarctic current, and today was no exception as we tried to go to shore in dense fog. And if you're wondering why those flamingos were so eager to be on our boat, here's why. These charter boats go out with guests and they feed them. That might explain the 6 pelicans we had on the boat last episode. So for the bird lovers out there, don't worry, this episode isn't going to be just about sand. There's going to be tons and tons of birds, most notably flamingos. So let's meet Rene, who's going to be our guide, and he was excellent. Check it out.
Alongside the coast, first starting off with the lagoon where all the flamingos are. So then from there on we'll drive on the beach towards the Sandwich Harbour area. We'll be the area where the sea and the dunes meet. So we'll be going there, and then we're entering the dunes from there on. Okay, so it'll be a lot of fun today. The lagoon area, as I explained to you earlier, and it's also known as the Ramsar site. The reason they call it the Ramsar site is because this is all a protected area because of all the bird species we have in this area, and it reaches all the way from here all the way towards Sandwich Harbour, and they say we have about 90 different bird species all in this area, which includes now the flamingo. We have 2 types of flamingo, from the small sandpipers and small ducks, little egrets, and so forth. So there's a lot of birds living in this area, and that's the reason it's protected.
We didn't see this beautiful beach from our anchorage where we are over there.
Yeah. Now this area all here, starting off with that yellow building, as we drive along, it's called the Millionaire's Mile. Now the reason it's the Millionaire's Mile, it's of course of the property that's very expensive. But what makes it that expensive is because of this lovely view over the lagoon area. So starting off with this one, this is mine. No, I'm only joking. I wish. This is the salt factory, and it's a South African based company based here in Namibia, where they basically grow the salt. So how the process works, they have a lot of these ponds called evaporation ponds that was manufactured by them. So they pump in the seawater and let the water then evaporate, leaving the salt course behind at the bottom. And they'll continue that process until the salt layer is about 30 centimeters thick, and then they'll send in the harvesting machine to scrape off the top layer of clean salt. And they produce about 860,000 tons, and their target is to reach at least 1 million tons of salt, and that's every year. Wow. I know way back in the day, the whole Walvis Bay, Swakopmund and Henties Bay were completely just these salt roads. From here on there's no road, you make your own.
Okay, that's what I said.
You can decide where you want to drive, how you'd like to drive. But there are certain areas, if you're not familiar with the area, you'll get stuck. It's almost like quicksand.
Right.
Now you see the pink color in the sand as well. Now that pink sand is called red garnet stone. So it's a fine powder of red garnet stone that flushes out on the beach. But we're going to have a stop here in front in a few kilometers, and then on a small dune, and then I'll explain to you exactly where that red garnet stone comes from, and also you'll notice a lot of these black in the sand as well. We also pick up sometimes of these fossilized oyster shells on the beach, normally in low tide. High tide it flushes out.
Pretty dumb, eh? They run towards the vehicle.
Yeah, They don't like the fact that there's something in between of them and the ocean.
Right.
Digging for these small, you see these white shells on the beach. Now those are called white mussel, and they're digging for that. Yeah, that's quite cool. I know the water's temperature is about down to 13, 14 degrees.
These are all Cape cormorants?
Yes, all Cape cormorants. Now you see this seagull over here. Now he looks different in color. Now that one is still a small one, and as they start to mature, the feathers get whiter. The same with the flamingos as well. That's all basically all dunes. It's about it stretches down for about 400 kilometers, and in width it's about 200 kilometers wide. So it's quite a long, big park. That's all dunes and desert, but it can stretch a bit more. So I would say in width about 300 kilometers. So the dunes stop basically at 200 approximately, and the desert will still continue, say about 300 kilometers inland. And now in Namibia, if we don't get rain soon, I think the whole Namibia will be a desert.
It's been really dry.
Really, we had one of our worst rainfall seasons this year in approximately 20 years time. So it's very bad at the moment. I know one of the biggest dams in Windhoek or in Namibia that keeps water for drinking purposes. It's about, I think, 25% full. So it's very low. So you'll also notice a lot of dead seals on the beach. Now normally the reason for that is the seals have a very weak immune system. So as soon as they get sick or very badly injured or of old age, they normally crawl out on the beach and they greet us. So, but it's all this the cycle of nature. So it's food for the jackals and the birds. Sad for the seal colony, but yeah. We normally take the tire pressure down to 1 bar, especially driving in this sand conditions. It makes the work a lot easier for the cars, and you won't get that stuck easily. Because it basically widens the tire's size, so it runs on top of the sand, not cut through it.
Interesting. There's our Range Rover. Well, it's got pretty big tires already, doesn't it?
Yeah. It has 16. The rim size is 16 inch, down with a 285 tire.
Much wider than what he has.
Much wider than those.
Just explain what you're doing while you're taking the air out of the tires.
Okay, the reason I'm taking air of the tires, we deflate the tires for the tires to get a bit wider, so it's much softer. It runs on top of the sand, so it doesn't cut like a knife into the sand. So it runs on top, gives it a little bit more suspension as well.
Awesome. Even with these big wide tires, eh?
Even with these big ones, yeah.
That's amazing.
Starting off, this is a normal basic magnet. Have a look at that.
Wow. It's just caked.
Now this is all iron in our sand.
It's amazing.
Someone give me the hand.
Wow.
Have a look at that. Nice to see it.
Wow.
That's crazy.
Leaving all the sand behind, only the iron.
So cool.
It's crazy. You can feel it, it's completely soft. It's a fine powder of sand.
That is wild.
Iron. Huh. Awesome, eh?
Yeah.
Now you'll see it in the dunes as well. There's this black color on the edge. On the edge of the dunes normally, or on the back side where it mixes in between. Now to give you an idea, if I could quickly draw you a sketch of southern Africa, I'll draw it here. So this is Africa. We have Namibia over here, and then we have Botswana, and then the rest. And way back here in the east part of South Africa, we have the Drakensberge. Now this mountain range is about 1,500 kilometers long, so it's a very big area. And all the way from this river from the mountain range runs a river all to the border of Namibia, and it runs into the ocean here at the bottom. It's called the Orange River.
Orange River.
Yes. Okay, so all the diamonds, we have a lot of diamonds on this coastline, all the red garnet stone, the pink color in the sand, all the iron, and also all the dune sand flushes down from these mountains all the way down the river into the ocean. Now what we also have here, we have the cold Benguela current running here all the way from the south all the way north, and it pushes everything that flushes out here at the Orange River, pushes it back out on the shore here where Walvis Bay is over here. So it flushes everything back here onto the beach, and from there on the wind that normally blows from a southwesterly direction blows it inwards. Okay, and then for the guys that was in Sources Flay, you've seen the dunes are red in color, and here it's not red at all, it's more like brown. And what happens is the iron in the sand starts to rust, so it's only rusty dunes that basically goes inwards towards Sources Flay, and that's basically it.
That's great.
Okay, awesome. Yeah, it could be.
Here we go, first big hill. Woo! So you're saying this vehicle handles those hills better than that one, right?
You'll see when we get to the dunes. That one is a lot faster.
Yes.
So you gain a lot more momentum, but it's a lot of punishment for the car suspension to handle with a lot of speed. Where this one, it crawls on the dunes, but it doesn't stop. It's one of those graves that I told you about, the human remains.
So you call them the Tapana people?
Yeah, Topanas.
Okay. Original inhabitants of the area. And they used to just bury them right in the beach on the sand? Yeah. Break number 2, and there's these black flies all over. You can see them on the vehicle. I don't think they bite, but they are in your mouth and your nose. Look at this. Just to get a perspective of size. There's Neil trying to go! It's huge. I mean, obviously there's going to be bigger ones later, they say, but it's right beside the ocean. Okay, here we are on the sand dune safari, taking this Range Rover through the dunes. You can see the dune behind me. The guys are at the top. I got too big of a camera set up here to try and run to the top of that thing, but it's pretty big. And you can hear the crashing waves behind the camera. Let me check that out for you. Sean's crawling, finally made it to the top. It looked difficult. Skiing down. Explain again why we have this kind of flat, normal beach and then all of a sudden this massive dune. What caused the massive dune right here? Sand? The wind?
Yeah, as I explained to you earlier, that part where the ocean currents push out all the sands and minerals that runs all the way from that mountain range.
Right.
It comes on the beach, and the wind starts to pick it up and blow it in, and it starts to form these big dunes. So yeah, that's basically it.
You'd think over time the wind would just flatten everything out, right? But
no,
clearly not.
Because the wind changes so much. Sometimes it's the southern wind that blows. Sometimes normally the southwester.
Yeah.
So that's why it has this round-like shape to that side. On the other side, it's 31 degrees down.
Oh, okay.
So you'll see as we go in, it's all round. It looks not that high from here, but once you're on top, it's blind side down. It's a long way down.
Well, they had trouble running down. It's so steep, right? So
And this one is quite small. The biggest ones we have here is about 150 meters high.
Okay.
So we have quite high dunes.
So I didn't miss out by not running to the top.
No, not at all. I think this one is about 30 meters.
Awesome.
And we're gonna go down some ones that are 110, 120 meters.
That's gonna be epic.
That's gonna be epic.
Yeah.
Left here. And it's only the roof sticking out, as you can see.
This is the roof?
Yeah. Part of the house and the roof. And there at the back you can clearly see it's only the roof sticking out for that one.
How long ago did they live here?
Late 1800s, early 1900s. Yeah. The first people that basically found the Namibian coastline were the Portuguese people. and they were busy whale hunting, and they saw this big bay area here, Sandwich Harbour now, today called, and they saw the vegetation next to the dunes, and they thought to themselves, okay, that's right. The local people also lived here, Topenaas, and there should be fresh water at least. And they came ashore. They started using the harbour to come ashore to get some fresh water, and also they employed the local people here to help them to work the fish and also trade with them for the fruits, that Nara fruits. And shortly after them came the British people, and they colonized most of Africa back in that days. And I think that was about in the 1800s when they came here. And they basically chased out all the Portuguese people, and they colonized Namibia. And they started using this harbor area for the same reason as the Portuguese, busy whale hunting and getting fresh water and trading and working with the local people in this area. And after them came the Germans. And the Germans, they were not very long here. I think at most it was 30 to 40 years. And they moved all the way up towards Swakopmund, today known as a very German town. It's a tourist town basically.
Yeah.
And the reason also they abandoned this area is because way back in that day they didn't have any Land Rovers or any vehicles of what sort to access this harbour area. Although it worked very nicely to use the harbour, it was impossible to reach it every time. So they basically abandoned it, and they went more up south, and then where Walvis Bay is today, it's the area where they basically start to use that harbour area. Okay, so here we go, starting off with a little bit of dunes, not that extreme.
That's gonna be steep. Oh.
Geloof ek beweeg nou uit. Julle moet lekker ry versigtig wees. Doen net die roetes wat julle ken, né? Copy, no problem.
Copy, dankie.
Oh, no problem at all.
Yeah, for the Land Rover, perfect. Okay, guys.
Okay, we've stopped for our lunch break. Look at this surrounding, it's crazy.
Okay, guys.
Let me turn the camera around. And on the other side at the bottom is lunch. Check this out. Oh, there goes our transportation. All right, now I've got to get over this without dropping my camera in the sand. Wish me luck. Here's the big camera.
Suck it up, suck it up.
Not to drop it. Woo! Look at that. That's awesome. Okay, there's our transportation going to the other side for our lunch. Look at the view from up here.
It's a gazelle.
He's got such long legs. Okay, this is the best location yet. I'm at the very top of the dunes. Hopefully you can hear me over the wind. We got the ocean over here. Got the big dunes behind me over here. It's an amazing view. Well worth taking this excursion. So is where we're about to have lunch. The last one to go down. So I gotta head down there without dropping my camera. Again, sand is the enemy of cameras.
You're going to like these, Steve. They've got a bit of spice in
There you
there.
go.
Okay.
The only predators they have is the hyenas and the black-backed jackals.
Really?
That's the only
I would
predator
think there
they
was
have.
a healthy shark population eating
Down
those seals.
south in Cape Town,
Yeah, I know.
you have the great white shark over
Yeah,
there.
but they don't come up here.
They don't come up here, not at all.
Wow.
So the only thing that eats them is the hyenas, and of course they have a very weak immune system. So
A lot of them
that's
die.
a lot of them die. That's the only bad thing about them.
Yeah.
So you were
But-
saying just before the camera was on how many
Okay.
seals are there? We saw them
Only-
on the shore when we
yeah,
sailed in.
only on the peninsula point, anything between 80 and 90,000, and at the whole coastline of Namibia, 1.5 million,
Seals.
approximately.
Wow.
Yeah. So that's all seals.
And no natural like shark predators.
No
Just the
naturals.
hyenas that catch them on shore.
Yes, and they catch them on the point of the peninsula
Okay.
during nighttime. The weaker ones, the sick ones, and also the small babies. Yeah,
Very cool.
that's basically
We saw
it.
them from as we were sailing in. We
Yeah.
saw the black spots on the shore, but we
Yeah.
didn't know how many.
Yeah, as you move along around the point, you'll see. Oh, it's crazy. Colony on colony on colony. It's just amazing to see all of
Must
them
be
all
so much
together. Yeah.
sea life for them to eat to stay
Yeah.
that many, right?
Yeah, that's the bonus basically for them, because our fishing perimeters are moved way back into the ocean, so the fishing vessels are not allowed to fish at all in that area. So there's a lot of fish, and only in the harbour area alone. During sulfur eruptions, when you see the sulfur eruptions, the water changes like a milky white color, almost like in the Bahamas. Then you see all the fishes comes out. What happens basically is all the oxygen released from the water, so the fish basically die, and the seals just swim around picking up
Eating
fish.
them.
Yeah, feeding
buffet.
buffet of fish. Yeah, and it's normally the small sardines or the other fish. Also a small one called the harder in Afrikaans.
And that's what
yes.
keeps them
That's what keeps them
sustained.
that healthy and fat.
fat. Yeah. Cool. Thanks.
Great.
There he is. Bottlenose dolphin. There's two.
Yeah, there's another one at the back.
They're
Big one.
not moving very fast, eh?
No.
Very slow.
Dolphins come here to die as well.
No. Okay, here we go. I'm gonna put up the AC for first, just to get some more power out of my friend here.
Okay, ready.
Ready to go.
That's the best part of the Land Rover. The Fortuners can't travel at this slow speed uphill. He'll get stuck.
So that's why he takes a run at it.
Yeah. He has to use all the momentum he got.
What is it, yeah?
Bam.
Wat wil je zo knap?
Oh, look at that. Wow.
Holy.
Crap. That is really, really steep. Whoa. Thanks, Ford.
Who's clenching the anuses?
You don't really get a feel in camera how
Nou
steep
net
this
vroeg
is.
afdraaien.
Can we park here? Can we park here, he says. Oh, look at that. Look at he's gonna take a run at it. Whoa.
Oh yeah.
You're gonna go higher than that.
I'm gonna try.
Yeah,
Our
you
car
gotta
is a
do-
bit
you gotta do
slower.
better than that.
All right, let's beat that.
We're counting on you.
Okay, I think we can beat that.
Here it goes.
Oh, definitely.
Oh yeah, beat him by a mile. Holy crap. Holy shnikes. Look at how steep this is. Are you gonna race? On your mark. Get set. Go, baby!
Now I'm not even touching my brake, eh? And my clutch is depressed
That's a
completely.
little worrying.
That's just how
Can
thick
I
it
see
is.
your insurance, by the way?
Alright, let's see him go. Look at how steep it
Have way
is.
too much fun in your job.
Kan je komen?
We're ready.
Kom maar.
So you can't really accelerate down, right? Or it'd be dangerous. It would just dump out.
Yeah, it will slide to the side and then you can roll over.
That would be cool to see. I think we bottomed it there.
Yeah. The Fortuners normally bottom up much quicker.
Yeah, he
than
can't
the
get all the way
Land
up here. Or if he does, he's no,
Rover.
no.
They normally can't get that high. He needs a lot of momentum to reach it.
Okay, that last ride to this stop was epic. So much fun. I'm sure the camera can't do justice to the size of the hills we're going up and how steep they are, but that was wicked fun. Now we're up on the top of these dunes, the ocean behind us. Dunes as far as the eye can see behind me. Can't even see where we're going to end up.
Jesus, this is a black run, this one. It's all soft.
This is,
Oh,
holy shnikey.
this is like being in like the Sand Alps.
Yeah.
It's like without any ski.
What degree of angle do you think this is?
Hey, look,
31
the sand's
degrees.
coming
31
up
degrees.
now.
Yeah, I see it.
That's
Holy
pretty
crap.
cool. Bit of convergence.
I don't know if you can get any sort of feeling from the camera about what this is.
It would be easy to have missed this on approach and just to have carried on at full speed, wouldn't
Yeah, that's what
Yeah.
making the dunes that
it? And this
dangerous.
stuff flows like water, man.
Yeah, look at this.
Have a look in front of the car. What happens is the hot sand slides with the colder sand underneath, it starts to make
Going all the way up. Oh, you didn't make it to the top.
Yeah, I shifted to second after 6 and not to 4th. So I slipped the gear, but
Yeah. This is called the Delta. Down behind us here is a Springbok.
Go over the edge.
only scary because I don't want to walk back there.
Yeah, we'll be
The one little
by those.
patch of green and they're all there.
Yeah.
Hello. It's like a little fox. And they're just called what kind of
The
jackal?
black-back jackal.
Not at all concerned over here.
Yeah, not at all.
That's hilarious. Bored with us.
It looks completely like a dog.
Yeah.
What's the little tick?
I'll leave you with these last beautiful images of these flamingos that you can see all the way along the bay as we head north back towards Walvis Bay where our boat is. Hopefully you enjoyed this episode. I know there was no sailing and it was pretty long, but I just want to showcase this epic excursion you can go on if you ever do end up in Walvis Bay, Namibia. If you do end up there, the excursion company we used was called Mola Mola, and our guide there was Renee. I got to thank him. I asked him as soon as I got in, do you mind if I film this? And he was super gracious to not only allow me to film, but he didn't actually mind getting in front of the camera and being quite the gracious, knowledgeable host. That is very rare. Most people, you throw a big camera like I have in front of them and they get super intimidated. So thank you to Renee for all of his wise guidance. If you found this episode entertaining or informative, show the channel some love by giving it a thumbs up. It helps YouTube know that you liked it and they will then recommend it to more people. More viewers means more recognition for the channel, which gives me a better opportunity to get invited on yet another passage somewhere. And then I get to film that and show that to you guys as well, which helps you out. It's a win-win. And if you're the type of person that only wants to see sailing videos, don't worry, the very next episode we're right back at it as we take off from Namibia in some pretty harrowing conditions. High winds, lots of bouncy chop, and yeah, I feel a little green again. But the good news is I do get over it after a couple of days, and there's plenty of good days of sailing as well with dolphins happening pretty regularly, so you can look forward to that. Anyways, that's it for now. Hopefully you've subscribed to the channel so you don't miss any of those upcoming episodes. And until next time, this is Craig signing off, wishing you safe cruising, and ciao for now.
We anchor and hoist the sail.